I just hit it, so it's recording now.
Okay, so yeah, and then we'll just share our PowerPoint.
Can everybody see? Well, now can everybody see this? Okay, cool.
Sounds good. So yes, welcome. We're going to do our presentation about the college archives, and I'm Jennifer Kronenbitter. I'm the Director of Libraries, and I have been the Library Director since January 2018.
And my name's Jeremy Pekarek. I'm an archivist and instructional services librarian. And I've been here since 2017, but I've been part of the archives since 2018. All right. Oops, there we go. Things we're going to look at today. So we're going to look at like some of our collections. We're going to talk about why we collect certain things and like what is the archive, what are we looking to preserve and why. How to access some of our digital collections that are online already. In the past couple of years, we've been digitizing a lot of materials. I'm going to show you how to perform a couple searches within our digital collections so you can at least interact with them even after this session. We want you to get involved, and we also want to know what you're interested in as well in terms of us digitizing content for the future and if we can meet any of those needs. And then, of course, hopefully you'll come by and you'll visit us as soon as the college is ready to open up fully, and the library is open to everybody just yet. And so as soon as we are, you can come in and make an appointment, and you can access some of the physical collections as well. Right, so the mission, I'm literally going to read this word for word. And I know it's like a big no-no when you're doing a presentation, but the mission of the Cortland College Archives is to support the college community by collecting, preserving, organizing, and providing research and educational opportunities regarding the materials documenting the history of SUNY Cortland. So what does this really mean? Basically, we collect materials created by the college for the college. So some of these materials that relate to you all, oops, went too fast. Some things like yearbooks, right? So our yearbooks were published from 1926 to 2003, and we have all of those within our collection. If you're looking at past like curriculum and what was offered, we have all the college catalogs, or most of them anyways. The student newspapers we have in physical print, and we've been working on digitizing those over the last couple of years. College commencement, so we include like physical programs, those have been digitized, and so is the photographic collection as well. So like the ceremony collection, or the ceremony views of commencement, as well as like the official portraits that they used to do, 100 years ago. We have different photographs and documents relating to Greek societies, as well as athletics. Athletics is probably one of our largest online collections. Football alone has something like 400 photographs. I want to say there's close to 2,000 images within college athletics. Alumni Magazine is a collection we're currently putting online. It's not fully digitized, but we have it all within print. And freshman Bibles, those are like freshman handbooks they used to give out from the 30s to the 60s. They're really cool to look at because they're so dated on some of the rules that you used to have to do. Like at Cortland, any alum could walk up to a freshman or upperclassman walk up to a freshman and say, recite the alma mater. And if they didn't, they could get in trouble, which sounds ridiculous today, but it was a thing. And we have other various graphic collections as well, since there's like campus scenes and aerial photographs and college buildings and a lot more. We have a lot more than what's described here, but I just wanted to give you some insight on what we collect that might be relevant to some alumni.
Okay, so we have a question for you all. Have you ever used the Cortland archival resources before? Either you've used them online or you've come into the library itself to use them. Feel free to unmute or put in the chat. I saw a thumbs up from one of you, Krista. Yeah. Nice, nice. So yeah, I think, you know, we're going to demonstrate today kind of how you can access some of these online. And hopefully you can find some more of those old photos and some other things that Jeremy just described here with it.
Yes, so thank you for filling out the chat. And I'm sorry, I didn't skip ahead right now. So some online materials, right? I just mentioned a couple collections before Jennifer asked you that poll question on like, have you ever visited the archives and or accessed our materials? And I was really happy to see that some of you actually have, which is really cool. And so today I want to show you how to actually access those materials if you haven't done so. So there's no shame in saying no, of course, because this is what this session's about, is learning how to get acquainted with our historical materials. So I'm actually going to jump out of the PowerPoint here for a moment and go right into Digital Commons. Digital Commons is the web page or the institutional repository, fancy word for saying, you know, our online site to collect materials. So let me get out of here. And so we're going to go right into the Red Dragon network. Actually, this is going to be the easiest for alumni to access Digital Commons. And while you're in here, I'm sure many of you have been here before, but if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, that's when you're going to find, how can I find archived SUNY Cortland information, which is awesome. So thank you to alumni, shout out to them for sharing this information with you all. All you have to do is click on the link. So let's do that. Let's visit. Okay, so let me minimize this for a second here. Oops. So you'll see that there's actually quite a few collections in Digital Commons, but we're only going to focus on the one that says College Archives. There's a couple unrelated collections not related to the archives, so we're not going to look at those. So the archives has a lot of information right now. We've started digitizing content within the last 3 years, right, Jennifer? Yeah, 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So since then, we started to kind of look at, so what are some of our priorities for digitizing content? What kind of audiences can we reach? And what's important information that people are going to want to access for research? So some of those things include like the yearbooks, right? The student newspapers has been a priority of the last couple of years. I briefly touched on some of the collections earlier. Like I said, we had college athletics, some alumni publications like alumni magazines online right now or partially online. Commencement. So let's browse a couple of these. So, commencement. Let's say you're interested in a collection. You can just simply click on it. There's usually a brief description in there. And then you could link to the images or the programs. And most of our collections are split up like this, like documents versus images. And they're done that for various reasons. So let's click on the images first. And then here you can see this collection is actually arranged in chronological order. Most of our digital content doesn't really go past the year 2000 just yet. Some of it does, but most of it not so much. We're really focusing on trying to get the most historical information on there right now. So as you can see, there's some photographs of the ceremony from the 90s. This is arranged in chronological order, like I said. So if you scroll down, you can click on the oldest content if you really want to. Now, I could be wrong, but I don't think there's anybody here with us today from the 1895 graduating class, but that would be really cool if they were. But you can still scroll some of these photographs. Some of them are just really appealing to look at and really interesting. Once you click on one that you're interested in, what's cool about Digital Commons is that you can zoom in and out of the images. Probably hear the big train going by my house right now. I live next to railroad tracks. So you can zoom in and out of images, which is neat. So in case you found yourself, you know, you could actually zoom in there and take a snapshot. You can download the images as well. So over here, you can download it. You can download it as a thumbnail or as a medium image. And then if there's any description, you could view that as well. So that's how you can browse some of the images in the commencement collection. I'm going to go back here just a moment. I'm going to back out of commencement. I'm going to click on another one. So let's look at Greek societies. So these are of course, all of our fraternal associations. So again, you can see it's separated by documents and images. So let's go into documents. And this is arranged in alphabetical order, not in chronological order. It's arranged by fraternity or sorority name. So if you're looking for a specific name, let's say Beta Phi Epsilon. You would just scroll down to the B's, of course, and you would find it. Now, a lot like the photographs, you would just click on the title, and then you could download it to read it. As you can see, there's like no zoom in option here because you can download the entire thing as a PDF and go from there. And that's how we upload our photographs. So it just makes it easier. And there's a little bit of description here as well. So this is the Beta Bulletin from 1948. And this specific issue is regarding homecoming in 1948. Some other collections that you folks might be interested in. Down here, there's student publications, and that includes a couple different sub-collections. So student publications includes all the yearbooks. I mentioned we have 1926 to 2003 completely digitized, fully online. Some old student handbooks, like I said, those Frosch Bibles earlier, really cool to look at, especially some of the old images, the antiquated images, I should say. And then the student newspapers has been an ongoing project to put online. And so as you can see, we do have an issue from 1869, but right now we can search from 1925. It says until present, but we're really looking at around 2017. So let's go to the yearbooks here. Click on the Didascalion, which Didascalion, for those who don't know, means teaching place. And you can see that all of the yearbooks are located. Again, this is in chronological order. 2003 was up at the top there. If I clicked on the very last page, I'm going to see the 1926 version, which is a much smaller version, as you can imagine, of a yearbook. As you get more recent times, the thicker the yearbook usually ends up being. So just a quick disclaimer on these, because these are by far our largest file. So don't be surprised if you click on a yearbook, it doesn't matter which one, and you want to download it, and it might take 5 minutes or so to download. Just be aware of that. It's a very large, as you can see here, it's a pretty large file, but we're glad at least to make it available to you in digital form so that you can search it or browse through it as well. All right. It looks like I'm kind of going all over the place, but I'm going to go back to the collections. And that's where you see all the main collections here. Let's look at athletics here for a moment. So these are arranged by sport or by type of organization. And I say organization like C Club is in there, for example, the Cortland Hall of Fame. But let's say you were on the football team and you wanted to find some old photographs, or at least browse through some old photographs of yourself. Again, click on images, and these are arranged in chronological order. All of our collections are arranged by some kind of order. Usually it's either alphabetical order or chronological order, so just be aware of that. And again, this is one of our largest collections. If you went all the way back to the last page, I can't remember the beginning year of football. Let's find out. 1895 is our first photograph in that collection there. We've got almost 400 football photographs online right now, which is quite a bit. This is a really cool photo. Actually, I like the field shot in here. Quick history for you all. When Old Main was originally constructed in 1923 and there were no other buildings on campus, the football field and all the athletic fields were actually located right behind Old Main. You know where that big Junior Rock is? That was right next to the field. So I always think like, wow, what if you got like hit and you ran into that thing? That would have been a scary moment. But all right. And then of course you can look at different documents as well. And this is how pretty much most of the collections are set up. Again, this is arranged in chronological order, and these include different things like individual programs for specific games, like Portica, Ithaca versus Cortland, or team guides, for example. And a team guide would be a good place to find a name of somebody. So let's say you knew somebody who was on the 1992 football team. you could open this up, scroll through it, and actually look for somebody's name in there, right? And you can confirm if they were on that team or not if you're doing research. So we had a chance to browse through a couple collections. Now I want to show you how to search them in case you wanted to look up something specific, right? Instead of just browsing. So over here, now I'm in the main collections page of Digital Commons, which means if I search right now, I'm going to search all of these collections. If I were to click on a specific collection like athletics, and then I clicked on a search, I would only be searching within athletics. So let's try a search. I'm going to type in Tracy Armstead. So she was one of our athletes, student athletes from the 1980s. She was on the championship team, actually. And so we've got a couple things here in regards to that Tracy that popped up. Looks like we've got a photograph. You can see a thumbnail there. If whoever has this PDF option, that means you know it's some type of a document. So we've got some track and field documents here, the championship team here. So let's start with the photograph. So you just click on the title, and there is the image. And of course, there's her Tracy name, or that's where her name pops up. Got a little information on Tracy in case you were interested. Go back. Again, you could download the images if you wanted to. By the way, sometimes I speak just a little too quickly, and if I'm going too fast, feel free to unmute yourself and just interrupt me and say, slow down. Can you show me that again? And I will be happy to do so. So let's click on this one, the 1983 team guide, for example. Got some information here on the guide, but if you really wanted to read it, you would need to hit the download button. It's going to open up in a new tab. And then here's where you can see all the digitized content. And I want to say right now, I want to say thank you to Ann Lane in Technical Services, as well as our student workers who helped make all of these services possible and making sure that these items were actually digitized. So it was been a big project the last couple of years. So I wanted to bring this up because you can scroll through the materials, right? Like browse through them, but you can search them too. So a quick tip on how to search something like a PDF is you can simply hit Control F. And if I was still looking for Tracy and where her name was mentioned in this, I'm just going to type in her. You can see the box right down here, lower left corner. I just hit enter after naming Tracy, and you can see it highlights every time Tracy's name is popped up. She's won several awards, so she's going to pop up quite a bit. She's one of our most famous athletes, I would say, especially from the 1980s. So that'd be a quick way to search something. And this would be really good in case you were looking at a yearbook. I'm not going to open up a yearbook right now because I said sometimes it could take some time to load. But let's say you opened up your yearbook from 1998 and you wanted to search your own name. Simply type in your last name, or if you wanted to search a friend, make sure you're looking at the way their name is spelled when they graduated. So if they were using a maiden name, for example, right? If they had married after graduating, you want to make sure what their name is when you're searching it. If you wanted to search like your team in the yearbook, you could just type in like football, right? And there's nothing popping up here because this is a track and field record, but you could type in an event and it should bring you to that area as long as the words you're using here in the box correlate with the words that are available within the yearbook itself or the document you're searching in. It should work just fine. And again, to do that, you would just have to hit Control F and you can search within the document. So that's a quick way to search within a physical document and a quick way to search within the Digital Commons system itself. Now I'm going to go into the collections and show you just one more search. Let's go down to the bottom here. And I briefly mentioned the student newspapers earlier. Well, let's perform another search in here. I'm going to go to, let's go to the press. The press existed from 1971 to 1990. So a quick history lesson. It started out with the Index Normalis, and then we changed it to the Cortland Normal News. And then in 1925, it came to the Kono Press, the Hilltop Press, the Press, and now we still call it the Dragon Chronicle to this day. So let's click on the press. You would just click on the title again. This is the only collection that's going to look very different from all the others. And then you're going to click on link to full text. And you're going to do that because it's going to link us out to a completely different website. So now we're at New York State Historic Newspapers. We're out of Digital Commons now. You can see we're at the press, just the title from 72 to 90. If you wanted to search within this newspaper, just click right over here where it says search this title. And I was running a search for Maya Angelou earlier. So you could see right here, it's already got the press on there. So you know you're searching within that publication. I could put in specific years. Let's say I wanted to search for Tracy again, sticking with the same example. I already knew from those other documents we looked at, she was a student here on campus from roughly, let's just make it a decade, 1990. So let's search within those 10 years within the press using our keywords of a specific person. Click go, and let's see what happens here. All right, looks like we've got 10 results coming up with the term Tracy Armstead. And this is really cool because this site uploads the originally scanned versions of the newspaper. So you're not getting some type of like transcript or copied version. This is what the original paper looked like. So you get to read the actual headlines. So let's click on this one here, the first image. When you click on the image, you can scroll in and out with your mouse. Or I'm sorry, zoom in and out with your mouse. Or you could use these controls up at the top. So I could zoom in on the paper in case I can't read it yet. Scroll down, and I can see Tracy's name mentioned several times. Oh, it even picked up a different person because of Tracy. And then I could, do a little bit more research on this person that I'm interested in. And maybe that person could be yourself. And you don't have to just search people. You could search events. So like Maya Angelou was a guest speaker here. She spoke in 2001 on campus. You could search like guest speakers. If you're really interested in like musical legacy on campus, you could search for bands like Billy Joel or the Grateful Dead and see how they were advertised or talked about in the newspaper. You could look at the student strike of 1970. So it's not just people you can search within here, but different events and occurrences that happened on campus. You can convert this image to a PDF if you wanted to download it and save it. However, if I do that right now, it's going to make me do this crazy verify that I'm a human, not a robot. So as soon as that's done loading, it's probably going to ask me to identify all the trucks in the picture, but I'm not going to show you to do that right now. Oops, I skipped out of there, didn't I? And you can see the exact issue that it's from. So this paper is from August 23rd, 1985, page 11. And I bring that up because let's say you found a photograph of yourself and you really wanted a copy of it. Well, sometimes the scanned images for the paper are not as good as the other scanned images. And if you ever run across that, and you could shoot me an email, and you'll get our contact information at the end here, and say, Jeremy, I'm really interested in this photograph I found on the paper, but the image is horrible. And as you can see, you can't really tell a lot from here right now. Just send me an email, and I can rescan the original copy of it in a color format, and I could send you that original version. Just send me all the information you would have. Say, I know it's on August 23rd, 1985, page 11. That makes my job so much easier to find it, scan it, send it back to you. So that is an option in case you're interested. We're going to hold questions at the end. So if you have any additional questions, you can speak up then. But now I think I'm going to go right back into the presentation, and I think I'm going to hand it off to Jennifer. So let me go back here. Look at PowerPoint.
Okay, thanks, Jeremy. So what are we doing moving forward here? So this year we got a new grant that was awarded to continue digitizing these student newspapers. This is provided from our local library consortium, South Central Regional Library, and every year they have a digitizing grant to digitize historic images, newspapers, etc. And Jeremy has been active in receiving grants. As you say, we've received over 15,000 in grants in the last 3 years to help make them available. And we also, for the newspapers, we do outsource these to another company who does the digitization and then uploads them on to what Jeremy showed you, the New York Historic Newspapers. And as we mentioned, we still have the Cortland Normal News through the Dragon Chronicle, which has been online. And so, we've been able to digitize the newspapers, and now we're looking to what other new collections we would like to digitize with it.
And I'm just going to jump in there just for a sec. And in regards to the normal news, when I just showed you the papers, you didn't see the normal news on there just yet. So basically, we were awarded 2 different grants for the normal news, and we digitized a portion of it last year, which is going to be online, and we're digitizing a portion of it this year, which is not yet online. So you'll see the normal news on there at some time within the next year. So all of our papers will be up there. So, as Jennifer just said, so like what types of materials are you interested in from your time here at Cortland that you might want access to? If you looked at yearbooks and newspapers, but can you think of any materials that maybe we didn't touch on that you would be interested in us looking at to make available if you can? So if you have anything, please put your answer into the chat, and we would love to hear from you. Kind of putting everybody on the spot here, so sorry about that.
Okay, yeah, theater programs. Cool.
That's a good point about the theater programs. We do have some theater materials within the archives, especially related to different areas, even within performing arts as a whole. And so we can look into more of that and making it available and what collections we have specifically. So I think that's a great suggestion. So thank you for saying so. And you're still welcome to put answers into the chat, of course. So, but going on to the next slide here, this is where we can get more of you involved, actually, and if you're interested. So you may have noticed that some of those photographs had some description, but we didn't always know who the person was or what the specific event was. So think of like football photographs. We may know number 51's making a tackle in that 1991 photograph, but I don't know who number 51 necessarily is if there's no description on like the physical photograph. I can't find a reference in the yearbook or in some other option. And so they've been largely unnamed, but have been digitized. So basically what we're asking is if in your free time, and if you're willing, you could go onto Digital Commons, explore our collections a little bit more, especially the photographic collections. And if you happen to identify anything like specific people, events, a very specific date that something occurred, we would love to hear from you. You can reach back out to us and we will edit that photograph to make sure it's more accurately represented to all of our communities. So this is your chance to actually get involved with the collection online. The other aspect that you can get involved with Cortland Archives is the past, 6 months officially, 3 or 4 months, I'd say. The archives teamed up with a few folks on campus, and we've been advertising for a time capsule for the class of 2068, which is the bicentennial that year. And so to kind of collect what we've all been through in the last year, we've been looking at like personal reflections, specific letters written to the class of 2068. We've been looking at people have been donating memorabilia, photographs of themselves, and more. So we've received quite a few masks, unworn masks, I should say, to the archives. I actually received a teddy bear with a mask on it too, which is probably, that was really interesting. I was surprised. That's pretty cool. So basically what I'm saying is if you're interested in donating to the 2068 bicentennial time capsule, which is going to be kept and preserved within the college archives, we would love to hear about your stories, about what you've been through in the last year, if you're willing to share. Or if you don't want to share those, you could share something else like a photograph. An example of that could be like walking on campus with your dog and you realize how empty it was in the fall of 2020, right? Because there was really not that many people around because everybody was working from home. And so just donating to this collection would be really helpful. And we've received quite a bit of information so far from current faculty, staff, and students. And so this is our chance to reach out to you as alumni to get involved with this. Jennifer, I didn't notice, did you put it into the chat?
I did put the link to the bulletin article about it. And we also want to give a shout out to Dr. Jenna Curtis, because she came to us with the idea. So the inspiration to have this time capsule. And so, you know, it's been great. We did have an initiative at the end of the semester where we had a week where we asked students, faculty, and staff to come over to the library, bring your donations, or put it online with it, and that worked out really well. In conjunction with that, we had some graffiti boards that were set up in the lobby where we asked questions, kind of how were they feeling during this past semester, and we've also captured that to be included into the time capsule.
Yes. Yes, thank you for mentioning those as well, Jennifer. And so last poll question here. So now that you've had a chance to interact, you know, do you plan to use the archives now? Yeah.
Well, we hope it's yes.
I know, right? If not, why not? No. The Frosh Bibles, as Jeremy mentioned, are very interesting to read about. And I think you actually had, didn't you have one of the history professors work with you on that, where his students came over and they looked at those and yes, so Dr. Evan Falconberry's History 280, which is public history, their class came in and they looked at a number of collections, and one of their groups looked at the Frosh Bibles. Actually, does anybody care if I jump out of here and go back in Digital Commons for a moment? All right, let's do that. I'll show you where they're located so you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so back here in Digital Commons, clicked on Collections, which again goes to that main page with all of the collections. So if I scroll down, go under Student Publications, Frosh Bibles are actually located under Student Handbooks, because they actually were a handbook and they were given out to freshmen upon arriving at Cortland. Freshmen often referred to as Frosh, of course. Another thing that they used to have to wear were these little beanies, and we have a beanie in the archive. And it's really interesting. It wasn't like, here's a beanie, you can wear it. To my knowledge, they were required to wear it on campus. It was part of being the freshman experience, so you could distinguish freshmen from any upperclassmen. Which is interesting, but and that's not just us, other SUNYs followed that as well. So here are the Frosh Bibles. The last version we have is from 1964. And I haven't found any evidence to suggest that there even were any that existed after 1964. So I think it may have been officially retired on campus around this time, but they started back in the 30s. And they played around with a lot of different designs here. Charlie Brown was a really big theme here on campus, apparently. But you can click on the title. Again, that brings you to the record where you could hit the blue button to download it. It's going to open up a new tab. And let's just scroll through here for a moment. So these provided information on things, on what to expect when you're a freshman. Things like how can I do laundry on campus? What are some of the rules, social expectations and norms for me? They had rules for men and rules for women at this time on what you could and could not do. So there are a lot of problems with the Frosh Bible in terms of society and normalcy and expectations. But it does give you some insight into the history of what had happened on campus. Let's see, let's skip past some of these names and folks here. Let's see, got a little message here from the staff. That's the president at the time, Dr. Ken Young. I can scroll a little faster. Here is your Cardinal Key faculty advisor. And then it's got a little schedule here for you. Let's see, they're not all organized the exact same way. So if I seem like, what's in this one? That's why. Let's see here, message from the vice president. We've got another Snoopy cartoon, a lot of Snoopy in here. Actually, that was very evident too in the yearbooks around this time. But basically, the Frosh Bibles were to help you get acquainted with life at Cortland, right? Like the who's who at SUNY Cortland involves these different clubs. We would just refer you to the clubs and organization page today. But back then, obviously, we utilized these digital resources. So we didn't have them as well. But so these handbooks came in handy, you know, so not to try and do a bad pun there. But and then, of course, we have the alma mater. I'll throw this into the chat real quick. Does anybody actually know the alma mater? I can't imagine too many folks today that might memorize this, right? I don't know my my college's alma mater. No, I have no idea. So, but here's the entire thing in case you want to sing it now. Maybe you do. So, but that's a Frosh Bible. They're really interesting. Some of them, that one had more or less more graphics of Snoopy and Charlie Brown. Other ones have graphics of like actual students lugging suitcases to campus, right? Wearing their little beanies, the Frosh caps. So some of them have interesting graphics. Some of them have really interesting and antiquated rules. So if you get a chance, I would say it's worth a shot to go through them. And so I'll go back here to the presentation and I'll allow Jennifer to wrap this up for us.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so where are we located? We put our mailing address for any of you that might want to send us any information or any donations. And we are located on the 3rd floor of the library. And it is the 3rd floor of the library, since you all know that the library has 2 3rd floors. This is the 3rd floor of the library on the B side, or the side closest to Sperry. And we have a whole room dedicated to the archives, an area for you all to come and explore the materials that we have there. As we say, it's appointment only because we need to make sure someone is available to assist you with this, with your research. Okay, and then I think we also put in our contact information and how you contact us. You can library.archives@cortland.edu. You can also use the phone or send us the mail again.
So that phone, that goes to my office directly. So, if I'm not around for whatever reason, if you leave a voicemail, I will always, get back to you, return your call.
As you said, this recording, this presentation will be recorded and I believe uploaded probably onto the Red Dragon Network, I believe.
And I think that's it. And so thank you for attending, and we would love to answer any questions if you have any.
And I would add, as Jeremy said, there's much more. I mean, we've been digitizing for the past couple years. However, we just haven't. I mean, there's much more we hope to digitize. But as everyone knows, COVID kind of set us a little back in what we were doing. And so we hope that this upcoming year that we can resume some more digitization with that. And we are going to save the chat so we can look at some of your suggestions about what you thought we should digitize or what you were looking for. And again, after this, reach out to us if you're thinking of other things that come to mind with it that you think would be great to digitize.
Or if you have just any research questions in general, there's never too small of a question. So don't think, oh, I don't want to bug somebody with this. We're happy. That's why we're here. We're happy to answer your questions. So if you're just interested in doing a little research or genealogy research on somebody here, maybe you're a parent for some reason, or a grandparent who's very popular, or even yourself, I'd be happy to look into that and see what we have. We could do a little research together online through Digital Commons and the newspapers. That's very possible. And I'd be happy to digitize or scan something if I have to and it hasn't been done so already. I'm probably not scanning like a whole bunch of books, right? But if we're looking at a photograph or a couple pages here and there, no problem, right? I'm happy to help out. So even if you just have a question, hey, how do I get to that Digital Commons? But I remembered the archive email. We'll send you the link. We can help you out however we can. So thank you very much.
Need to unmute myself. I don't see any. I still, after a year, I still haven't got that.
I guess we were so thorough. Nobody had any questions. That's what it was. Since though.
So yes, I don't see any other additional questions in the chat. But yes, thank you all for attending this today. Hope that in the future we can actually have you come to the archives and we can do this presentation in person as opposed to via the web with it. And actually we can show you some of the other stuff that we have there. So
yes.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Have a great rest of your night, everyone.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Enjoy the rest of the reunion.